So we're starting with social science. Question 31. Consider the following assessment questions. What are the ways in which people can participate in a democracy? Following are some answers that you get from students. Which answer reflects the students' understanding of the question and ability to give the answer to the point? So the first two you just do not need to read, these are not to the point. But there are two to the point. One says by voting in elections, so only voting is mentioned. One says voting, dharna, rallies, social movements. So all four are given. So this is the most comprehensive answer and talks about ways in which people can participate in a democracy. So the option voting, dharna, rallies, and social movement is the correct answer. Question 32. Consider the following assessment questions. What is the difference between weekly markets and shopping mall? So here is the question. But what you want is some answers are written, same kind of a question, in which answers does the student fail to display? Fail to display ability of comparing. So there has to be some comparison. So let's see the options. The products sold in weekly markets could be bought at cheap rates, whereas only few people, that means this is expensive. So this child is comparing with respect to price. Weekly markets do not have permanent shops, whereas shops in the shopping malls are built to last. So this is permanency. Weekly markets run in both rural and urban areas, whereas a shopping mall is usually seen in urban areas. So urban versus rural. Weekly markets are markets which are held on specific days, okay, and shopping malls are multi-storied. So instead of saying that shopping malls run every day, this is no comparison. So this will be the correct answer. 33. Some students of class 6 question that if the earth is not flat, then how are maps showing everything as flat? What is the best way to address this? So show animatedly how maps and globes represent. This would be the best idea. Let's see. Show maps. Just showing maps will not help. Ask them to find out themselves. No. And showing the globe. So just don't show. Explain it to them. So an animation or explanation or asking them to look at it would from a different way. That would be the better idea. So animation shows how the globe becomes a map. That would be the best idea. Assertion and reason question. Social science has a strong correlation with arts. This is correct. Painting, sculptures, all these things represent proof of many domains of social science. Yes. So both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. So domains of social science will be your history, economics, political science. So painting, sculptures, all these prehistoric artifacts, they will give proof of all this. 35. Another assertion and reason. Nature of, this is not assertion and reason, but this is a statement. The nature of social science is evidence based, empirical, and verifiable. Yes, this is true. Its study often leads to multiple interpretations of a single event. Yes, that is also true. So both A and B are true. So we cannot say that social science is not evidence based. It's a science. We do look on evidence, we look at facts, we look at records. So they are empirical, they are evidence based, it is verifiable. But it also, because it's a humanities subject, leads to multiple interpretations of a single event. So it can happen. So both A and B are true. 36. Rosie drew a picture of a woman as a nurse and man as an engineer. When asking the reason, she says women make better nurses because they are more patient and gentle, whereas science requires a technical mind and women are not capable. So, what does Rosie's statement reflect? She is talking about a gender stereotype. You might think this is gender typing. There's no word like gender typing. It's a stereotype. You just believe that this has been uh, this is how it is. 37. To familiarize students about election procedures, which would be the best. So the best actually would be where they do their own election. So that option given. Surveys don't help. Documentaries won't help. Just an expert won't help. But organizing elections in the class for the class rep, this would be the best way for them to understand election. 38. The best possible practice for sensitizing towards life of tribals. Lecture seminars, no group discussions amongst themselves, they will not be able to say anything. Textbook, definitely not. So screening a movie or documentary on Bakarwals. So Bakarwals are a tribal. Another way would be, which is not mentioned, but I'm just letting you know, is that if you take them and meet real tribals who will come and or take them to a setting where tribals are living and they live with them, that would also be a good option. That could also be given in another exam. 39. When students are engaged in a group discussion on uses of water, a teacher should use the blackboard in which of the following manner? Noting response, I'm arranging response around concepts, themes, and issues. This would be the correct answer. Let's just see. Noting responses of students, just noting who are considered bright, so not at all. Listen to the students, but not necessary to record. No, it is necessary to record, so this won't be the option. Recording every word said in the discussion is not needed. So, arranging responses around concepts, themes, and issues would be the best way to use the blackboard. The teacher takes students to upper primary classes of the district court, okay, after finishing the lesson on criminal justice system. Which of the following objectives are most appropriate? To provide experience of the functioning and interact with lawyers on the roles they play. This seems like the best option. Should show the challenges of seeking justice and create awe. So, no. Scare the students? No. So, only A, yeah, this option is there. Only A is the correct answer. 41. Which of the following are the prevailing misconceptions? It's a non-utilitarian subject. Yes. Misconception that natural sciences, that is physics, chemistry, are superior. Yes. It rewards memorization. So people think that if you do social science, you only have to ratta maro. Only job option is in academics. So all four of them are prevailing misconceptions about social science. 42. Which of the following concepts, there are four concepts given, should a child have prior knowledge about in order to understand torrid zone? So to understand torrid zone, that is those zones, the temperate zone, the torrid zone, the child should know about the globe, yes. Should know about insulation, yes. Should know about latitudes, but longitudes are not needed. So longitudes don't have anything to do with. So B, C, and D would be the correct answer. 43. Assertion and reason. The change in nomenclature from civics to pol science was to bring back the focus towards issues of contemporary India. This is correct. This has been given in the foreword of class 6 history, why it is not called civics anymore. Civics appeared in the Indian school curriculum during the colonial period, and because they wanted to decrease the disloyalty. So A is, both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. So this is a very important question in the pedagogy of social science, where the books were earlier called civics, so the subject was called civics, and now it is called political science. 44. Which of the following activities would help children to critically think about women's work in society? Asking them to write slogans. So slogans will not help critical thinking. Asking students to observe, okay, how much leisure time men and women have, and to think about why that is so. Yes, B will help. Showing them data regarding how many girl students get to attend school. Yes, and asking them to talk about the impact that might have on their job opportunity. So both B and C, option number 3, will help them to think critically about women's work in society. Now you might think, why B? Why leisure time? So leisure time will be because those women who are working at home, they might get less leisure time, or even if they are working, they might come back and have less leisure time, whereas men will come home and say, we have worked outside, now I'm going to watch TV, whereas a woman has to go into the kitchen and make food. So even understanding how men and women spend their leisure time will show about how women work in society. So both the options B and C. Writing slogan is of no use at all. While taking a class on the subject of government, which of the following questions can you pose to encourage social awareness and critical thinking skills? So there are two things needed: social awareness and critical thinking skills. List out. So the moment you see list, forget it, because this is a remembering question. What are the features? Remembering question. Now we have two big questions. So now we have two big options. Let me first go to option 4. You've been noticing for quite some time that the area is getting flooded, you and your neighbors decide that something has to be done regarding this issue. Now, those who have read only up to here will say, okay, this is the correct one. But the question is, which level of government, whether you will go to local, state, or central, would you approach? So, this is again just an understanding or remembering kind of a question. This is the correct option because you have to think social awareness and critical. So we saw how the pandemic has disproportionately placed the burden of healthcare on doctors and frontline workers. Do you think, this is a very important phrase in a critical thinking question, do you think any protest organized by them demanding better working conditions is justified? So this is a justification question. Support your answer with reason. So this will be the correct option. 46, a teacher writes expected learning objectives on is students will be able to compare a weekly market with a shopping complex. So what are they demonstrating? So comparison is the level of analysis. 47, which of the following assessment questions is most appropriate? Understanding and appreciation of Indian federalism. So as I mentioned before, out of the 20 questions, 7 of them have been asked from Bloom's taxonomy. So we are talking about understanding and appreciation. Write a brief note. So no appreciation. What are the 3 levels? What are their functions? No. What do you think might happen if we did not have any state and local government and all decisions were made by the center? So this should be the answer. Define. So we don't. 48, consider the following assessment question. Why does a democratic country need a constitution? But the main question is, which of the following indicates a lack of understanding? So again, the same Bloom's taxonomy, but as a lack of understanding. The options have been shuffled. That is why we're getting this student C, student B kind of a thing. But let's see. Ensures that dominant group does not use its power. So this shows understanding. A constitution gives us a set of rules of what a country is governed. This is basically this is the what a constitution is. Understanding nahi hai. This is more of a definition. Usually contains rule, ensures that minorities, so this is showing understanding, lays down rules that guard against misuse of authority. So all the other 3, A, C and D, they show understanding, whereas student B is only giving the definition. So option 2, that is the child who is showing lack of understanding, will be student B. Assertion and reason. A scrapbook is an effective way of making students learn about different types of vegetation through pictures. Okay, yes, that is true. Scrapbook is effective for pictures. A scrapbook must be assessed only by the cost of different. No, that's absolutely false. So A is true, B is false. Another question from Bloom's taxonomy. What kind of questions can student be asked in order to test their factual knowledge? So that will be knowledge of terminologies. Classification is under understanding. Strategic knowledge is analysis. This is a process or a psychomotor domain. 51, if Greenwich, okay, so we finished with pedagogy. As you saw, 7 of these questions were from Bloom's taxonomy, and there are a lot of questions which they are now asking even in the negative. Let's move on to the content-based question. We start with geography. So if Greenwich meridian time is 12, then what will be the time at 45 degrees east? So remember, for every 15 degrees, we get 1 hour. So 45 degrees is 3 hours. Now we have to see whether we are adding 3 hours to 12 noon or are we subtracting 3 hours. So if you move to the east, you have to add the hours. So this is Greenwich in England and we are on the east. So we will add 3 hours, 12 plus 3, which is 3 p.m. If it was to the west, you would have subtracted those 3 hours. So it would have become 9 a.m. Okay, but since we are on the east, it will be 3 p.m. Sea caves are formed in coastal areas. Select the suitable reason for formation. So sea waves happen due to waves, erosion and deposition by waves. It's not a man-made activity or wind erosion or rocks. Natural vegetation varies from place to place. Why do evergreen forests grow near equatorial regions? So Achha, they're talking about temperature and rainfall. So we need heavy rainfall and high temperature. So all evergreen forests, they have high rainfall and hot areas, so near the equator. Consider the following statements about latitudes, okay, which is correct. Arctic Circle is at 66, so this is wrong. Capricorn passes through southern hemisphere, this is correct. I think that's the answer, but Antarctic Circle is at 66.5 south, and Tropic of Cancer passes through southern, so this is wrong. So the correct statement is option 2. An imaginary line drawn on the globe to divide it into two equal parts is known as, so that's the equator, because the equator divides the earth into two equal parts. Choose the correct statement about the globe. So latitudes and longitudes are shown on the globe. Yes, it is tilted on its axis. It is a true model of the earth. Yes, it is oval in shape. No, so it is round in shape. So ABC, option 4. Stratosphere has ideal conditions for flying. Why? Because of the free from clouds and weather related. So this has been asked many times about those 5 spheres, starting from troposphere, where we have our weather conditions, stratosphere, where we have the aeroplanes flying, and we also have the ozone layer here, the mesosphere, the thermosphere, and the exosphere. So this is thin air. Okay, the next question is just that. Match the following. So ozone layer is stratosphere. Let's see if there's any other option with A3. No, they have given different one. You can just tick this and move on. Off. This is so simple. If you had two A with threes, then you would have had to check one more. But here none of the A has three except option 4. So just tick that and move on. Don't read the others, but let's still do, since this is an explanation video. Radio transmission takes place in the thermosphere. So yes, B is 4. Weather phenomena happen in the troposphere at the bottom, and thin air is in the exosphere. So we've got our answer. 59. Gulf Stream is a warm ocean current because it moves from the equator to the poles. Okay, where is it? Originates near the equator. Types of farming and area. So shifting cultivation always takes in forests. Let's see if there's a A3 anywhere else. No, again we've got our answer just by knowing any one. But let's just go through this. So commercial grain farming, that is your maize and corn farming, is in the temperate grasslands. You have the example from America. Intensive subsistence farming will happen in thick populated area because there's no space, and nomadic herding will happen in semi-arid, that is desert. Semi-arid means, arid means dry. So we've already got our answer. Choose the false statement from the following statement on energy resources. Biogas causes greenhouse effect. This is debatable but it produces methane and CO2, so maybe this is true. Solar energy is renewable is correct. Tidal energy is exhaustible, so okay, this is the wrong one. Wind energy is non-polluting is correct. So biogas causes, I don't think biogas really causes, but tidal energy is exhaustible is totally false. Which of the following means of transport is cheapest for carrying heavy and bulky goods? So waterways. Subse cheap is waterways. You might think it is railways, but no. Laying the railway has a big cost. Waterways have always been the cheapest way to carry heavy goods over long distance. Another question from resources. Okay, suggest the type of resources we should use more in order to save our environment. So we have to use renewable resources more. Okay, so till here was with geography. We have 13 questions from geography. During a class activity, the teacher asked students to select dolls which identify with Adivasis. Most of the students pick up dolls wearing colorful clothes, headgear. What does this uh, demonstrate? This is your stereotype. This is not a discrimination. We are not yet discriminating. This is not progressive at all, and it's not a prejudice. I mean, you don't harbor anything. You just think that all Adivasis are wearing colorful headgears and dancing all the time. Being prejudiced towards someone implies, okay, to judge them negatively, yes. To consider them superior, absolutely not. Disrespect, yes. Discriminate, mostly. So A, C, and D will be the correct answer. Assertion and reason. Federal system fulfills the needs and demands of the cultural diversities in India. Yes, it established multiple levels of government. So yes, so A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation. That is why, because we wanted everybody to be heard and all diversities to be addressed, that is why India also went for the federal system, which has multiple levels of governance. We have three levels: the local, the state, and the national. Which of the following incidents are identified as violative of the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act? Violence by upper caste, yes. Forcing a member to eat obnoxious substances, yes. Allowing a non-tribal timber merchant to exploit the moment exploit happens, yes. So they are violative. Marrying a member, marrying is not stopped. So it will be A, B, and C. The midday meal scheme has reduced caste prejudice among students and promoted social justice. Explain the statement by choosing correct options. Children of all castes eat together. Yes, many places Dalit women have been employed. Yes, this has been mentioned in the textbook. Enrollment has increased. Yes, and dropouts have reduced. So all four, A, B, C, and D. Which among the following provisions ensures independence of the Indian judicial system? Legislator is not involved. Yes, it solves. Fixed tenure. Our judges don't have fixed tenure. Parliament cannot discuss the conduct of judges. This is true. The president administers the oath. So basically, you're not dependent on any elected member. So I guess this will also show. So A, C, and D, option 2. The work performed by question 70, the work performed by a homemaker goes unnoticed and unpaid as compared to the office work performed by an office going lady who gets salary and respect. So what is the reason for this? Overvaluation of office work, no less time, no for a patriarchal setup. Not really. It is devaluation of household work. We don't value household work. So if the woman is working at home, we think it is there's no, and we are not having to pay her. We think it is of no importance. But if a woman goes to the office and gets a salary, then she is respected. Supreme Court has interpreted the right of food, right of privacy under which fundamental right? So this is Article 21, which is your right to life. Article 19 is your freedom of speech and expression. 14 is equality between the before law, and Article 20 is regarding court processes. That means everybody has right to equal court, equal law, court litigation. But Article 21 is the one you must remember the most. It is the one which is most often asked. It is also what RTE is under, which is your right to life, that is right to good life. How is Indian secularism different from secularism practiced in the US? Identify the correct options. Okay, there are two options you have to find. How is it different? We have to find out. In USA, neither the state nor religion can interfere in each other's matters. So that is correct in the USA, but it is different in India, where for certain reasons we can interfere, the state can interfere. So this is a difference. Indian constitution, there is provision for protection of minority rights. So there USA doesn't have that. The constitution does not provide it. Both USA and India maintain strict separation between state affairs and religion affairs. So no, India does not. So this is not. In USA, state can allow religious reforms, unlike India. So they do not interfere. So this is also wrong. So A and B are correct. So that will be option 4. The term all persons are equal before the law means that all citizens, regardless of their socio-economic status, have to obey the same law. Yes. No person can be discriminated against in the eyes of law on the ground of race, color, religion. Correct. Inequality cease to exist. No, this does not happen. It ensures fair opportunities and a life of dignity for all. So A, B, and D. Option 1. Which of the following are correctly matched? Mason, which is a matching. So mason is a daily wage laborer usually. Domestic worker is a casual worker. Yes. Vegetable vendor is self-employed mostly. Supervisor in a shop is a business person. No. So A, B, and C are matched perfectly. The cities have witnessed increasing rural-urban migration, which has resulted in growth of slums. Reason for this: deterioration of living standards. So living standard deterioration is not causing the migration. Disruption of rural labor market, yes. Decreased agricultural productivity, yes. So that will cause increased skill workforce in a rural area. So that is not causing. If there was, so it will be B and C. So we have option 4. Which among the following can be included in public services? So public services are your, the ones where you are tested for the UPSC, the Union Public Service Construction. So police is a part of that. The law is a part of that. Education services are a part of that. Construction services are not. So A, B, and C, option 4 is the correct answer. So from question 77, we are starting with history. So if you see question 64 to 76, which is another 13 questions from pol science. That will leave us with 77 to 90 or 14 questions from history. So this is why I keep saying that focus more on pedagogy, geography, and pol science, and you can cover 60 minus 14, which is 46 marks. So just leave out the 14 questions of history. Don't go on focusing on history. In fact, I'm going to be listing on the iCard uh, a video which I would like you to watch as to why you should not focus too much on the history aspect. Okay, we start with history. The Ilbert Bill was opposed, so this is with options. In 1883, yes, Ilbert Bill is 1883. Why? Because the Indians opposed the bill as it gave free hand to the British government to have trials of Indians without. No, this is not correct. The Britishers opposed the bill as Indians could take up. Yes, this is the main reason why the British opposed the Indians, because now Indians could take up trials of British. The British sought equality between British and Indian judges. This is also true. Was racist? No. So B and C is the answer. Assertion and reason: despite constitutional recognition of equality, some Indians are more equal than others. This is true. Why? The ideals set out in the Indian constitutions have not yet been fulfilled. Yes, that is the reason. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct reason for A. 79, below are two statements regarding the context of the Khilafat movement. In 1920, the British imposed a harsh treaty on the Turkish Sultanate, that is the Khalifa. This is true. Indian Muslims were keen that the Khalifa was not allowed to retain control. No, they wanted the Khalifa to retain control. So A is true, but B is false. Assertion and reason: as the indigo trade grew, commercial agents and officials of the company began investing. This is true. Attracted by the prospect, high profits, numerous Scotsmen and Englishmen came to India and became planters. Both are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Which of the following statements are true about Buddha's teaching? Our sufferings and unhappiness are a result of our past births. Yes. Sufferings and unhappiness are a result of our cravings and desires. This also he said. All believers had to accept and follow. He didn't say this. So B, A and B. 82. The increased demand for Indian textiles in Europe in the 16th century, yes, led to the following changes: expanding craft of spinning, bleaching, and dyeing. So this is true. Increase independence in working. No, this is not mentioned. Variety in designs and increase creativity. So since only two are there, let's see the last one. Working of a new system. Yes. So this new system of getting an advancement came up. So expanding craft and D, A and D would be the correct answer. Although C is not wrong, but the option is not there in the answer. 83, Jyotirao Phule's book, so they're talking about Gulamgiri, on the dismal condition of lower caste were dedicated to. So he had dedicated it to the anti-slavery activists of the American Civil War, because he was very impressed by the fact that the Americans fought and abolished slave trade. Okay, consider the following statements. By the second half of the 19th century, people from within the non-Brahmin caste began organizing, yes, the movements against caste discrimination. So we know this to be true. The Satnami movement was founded by Ghasidas. Yes, he worked among leather workers and organized a movement to improve that. This is totally true, and it is a part of. What are the options? Both A and B are true, and B is an example of A. Correct. Who among the following reinterpreted verses from Quran to argue for women's education? So please remember, this is Mumtaz Ali. She reinterpreted the verses for women's education. We know very less about tribal groups in the medieval periods, because, so this has been mentioned in the textbook also, because they did not keep written records, so we do not have any information. Not because they did not live in areas where medieval rulers ventured. they came into limelight only after. No, they were isolated, and this is true, but that is not the reason why we don't know about them. If they had kept record even in isolation, we would know about them. 87 in the register of God's creation, since her account did not fall under the column of men, how did she gain from all her excellent qualities? So this was talked about for Razia Sultan. Remember, Didda was from Kashmir. She ruled very well and was loved because Didda means elder sister. Gautami was also a ruler, and Rudrama Devi is a person who hid her gender and she ruled from the Kakatiya clan. Gautami was the mother of one of the kings who took on her name, Gautami Putra. 88. Which of the following statement is are true about technology used in the 12th century? So arches were constructed. Yes, that's in the 12th century when arches were constructed because it helped to distribute the weight. The center of the arch is called the base stone. No, the base stone or the foundation stone is at the bottom. It is not out here. So only A is correct. In which of the following Paleolithic sites were tools made of limestone? So this is Hungsi. Hungsi, we have tools made of limestone which have been found. The last question, which one of the following is not true? For Mahajanpadas, regarding collection of regular taxes, hunters and gatherers also had to provide forest produce. Yes. There were taxes on goods that were bought and sold. Yes. Usually taxes on crops were at half, so no, it was never this high. This would be the wrong one. It was either 20% or 25%, not more than that. Herders were expected to pay tax, so everybody had to pay. So answer is 3. So with that, we come to the end of social studies. This is 20th August 2023 paper. Thank you for watching.